Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad, your best place for weekly content on young American soccer players playing overseas. My name is Austin Van Churn, and welcome to our show. So guys, we're back after the international break, and unfortunately my co-host Patrick will not be with me again today. Just our schedules didn't really line up again this week, so you'll just have to be forced to listen to me today. But it was a weird weekend after the international break. Some of our key players or key guys we like to follow on this show, unfortunately, didn't see the field for too long. But we did have some younger guys kind of step up and deliver. So we're definitely here to talk about that. We have one player who really stepped up greatly in a big game over in the Netherlands. We also have another player who came on the pitch, provided a spark over in the Bundesliga. Actually, two players. And then we also want to talk about another player in Germany who's really taken to the start of the season. So all that and more in this episode. So to start off with the player I alluded to in my little intro there, that would be Richy Ledezma. And Richy Ledezma had a fantastic game this past Friday in Jong PSV's 3-2, I should say comeback 3-2 win over Jong AZ in the Eredivisie over there in the Netherlands. And in this game, Richy was on fire. He was, it was one of his best performances we've ever seen from him. In this game, he had 2 goals and 1 assist. So, he had a hand in all 3 of Jong PSV's goals and was really the engine for them on the day. And, if you watch his all-touch videos, I believe USMNT videos, a great account to follow on Twitter, put that out over the weekend. And it was really exciting. Just to talk about his goals real quick, the first one, and like I said, Jong PSV were down at the moment. And Richy Ledezma basically for the first goal took a nice kind of spin touch around a player into the box and slotted home a real cool finish. Just a type of skill that, you hear the word world-class overused nowadays, but I think this goal was definitely a world-class goal. It was, just skill, kind of like Stu Holden says, of the highest order. It was just a really impressive goal, and it really showcased his good touch on the ball and just good technique. And, a little bit later, he actually had an assist to, I believe, pull Jong PSV even 2-2 with Jong AZ. And it was just, another good Richy Ledezma assist. Basically he had a nice weighted through ball, to help the striker run onto the ball into the box. And, it was an assist for their second goal. And then Richy finished off, the day and helped Jong PSV get the win with a nice chip over the goalkeeper in the box for the third goal. And, another goal that requires a lot of skill, also a lot of confidence. And, Richy Ledezma was not short on confidence on the day. So, he's, like I said before, single-handedly helps Jong PSV get the win. When you watch that all touches video, the whole game, he was just kind of the creator for them on the day. And, really showcased in this game that close touch and, just the soft feet that he has and that makes him such an exciting prospect. So, it's just good to see Richy Ledezma back on the field. When he made his move to PSV last year, he was injured and didn't get on the field until late last season and played with their U19s. Just came on, I think, at the end of the season for a few substitute appearances. I don't think he really ever made a start with them last year. And then obviously was moved up to Jong PSV this year because he's not age eligible for the U19s. And, has really gotten off to a good start for them this year. So that's really exciting to see. It's looking like Richy Ledezma is, finally taking the next step in his career. Obviously, making the transition over to Europe can be difficult. And, with that injury, it was probably difficult right from the start. But now that he's comfortable, he's been over there for a little bit of time now. It looks like he's really starting to settle in and improve or at least showcase the skill that he's, brought with him. And that's really exciting. And so, he had a great game on Friday. A game that makes other people outside of our USMNT circle and also the PSV circle over there recognize. It was a game that that was a pretty special game. But he followed that game up, and it wasn't as big of a game. Well, I shouldn't say as big of a game, but he didn't have as good of a game on Monday when he faced off against Alex Mendez and Young Ajax. So, on the day, Young PSV went down 2-0. It's tough over there. They play a lot of these Friday, Monday scheduled games. And, he played 90 minutes on Friday. He ended up playing 90 minutes again on Monday. So, it's good to see him go the full distance in both games. But, Young PSV, I guess, couldn't really get it started in this game. There wasn't any stream available for it, so, we haven't really been able to see what went on in the game. But, there was a lot of people trying to provide updates on Twitter. And, it sounded like, Richy in this game had, another pretty good game. Obviously not as good of a game as on Friday, but it sounded like, he was affecting the game. I believe someone on Twitter said that he was kind of the engine for PSV on the day in that game, even on Monday. So, it really does sound like Richy is taking to his time over in the Netherlands and is really becoming an integral part of that young PSV team. And, if he continues, anything's really possible. We don't want to kind of push him too hard to make that first team debut this year. But if he continues to perform like he did in that game on Friday, then I definitely think, an opportunity with the first team awaits at some point, whether that's, in the near future or if that's at the end of the season, over the summer into next season, time will tell. But, it's definitely good to see him doing well for PSV's, second team, essentially. So, great stuff from Richy this week. Really excited to, start to cover him more and more. Because like we said, last year, we were really excited to see him make the move to PSV. But then, the injury and, then prepping for the U20 World Cup, we didn't really get to see too much of him last year. So, just really good to see him on the pitch and doing well. So now we want to move over to a player in the Bundesliga who made another substitute appearance this week, and that would be Josh Sargent. So Josh went the final 22 minutes in Werder Bremen's 2-1 win against Union Berlin. Didn't really have too much involvement in the game. He kind of came on when Werder Bremen were up, like I said, 2-1, just trying to really preserve that lead. Union gave them a really tough challenge towards the end of the game. It got a little chippy, but Josh kind of did what he was supposed to do. He came on, looked confident, made some good runs into the box, brought defenders with him, kind of created a little bit of a chaos when they had the ball in the final third. Didn't really get any good scoring opportunities in the game. There was a few balls that came into the box to him, but no chances where it was, evident that he should have scored a goal. And, there wasn't even really any chances where he could have potentially scored a goal, to be honest. All the touches in the box were not really shooting situations. So, obviously good to see Josh back on the pitch. The international break was a little rough. I didn't think he played bad in the game against Uruguay and the minutes he played against Mexico, but that international break was very brutal, and we won't really get into that on this show today, unfortunately. But it was just that international break left kind of a sour taste in all of our mouths, I feel. And like I said, it's good to see him back on the pitch for Bremen. He needs to get more minutes this year. He needs to become a player that Bremen and manager Florian Kohfeldt really starts to trust, and is just a player that scores goals. Obviously, as a striker, you need to score goals, but is also a player that just creates maybe goal-scoring opportunities when he's on the pitch, whether that's actually scoring the goals himself or setting up players, providing key passes, good hold-up play in the final third, stuff like that. As long as he's on the pitch, and when he's on the pitch, helping out the attack and providing, opportunities for the offense. That's kind of the things we need to see from Josh this year at Bremen. So, like I said, good to see him on the pitch, and we hope to see him more in the future. Now we want to stay in Germany and talk about another player who made a surprise substitute appearance, and that was Weston McKennie. So Weston McKennie actually didn't start for Schalke this week, which was a little surprising, I'd say. Obviously, he was on international duty with the U.S., did come back early, so it wasn't really a fitness issue in my opinion. They did play Paderborn, and Paderborn is a team that was just recently promoted to the Bundesliga, definitely one of the more weak teams in the Bundesliga. So maybe they were just trying to rotate the squad, try out some things because they knew they had, some better quality and were kind of relying on the fact that, they thought they could win even when rotating. But nonetheless, Weston came on. I believe Schalke were up 2-1 at the time. It was in the 62nd minute. And, he came on, did a good job, I thought, integrating right into the game, kind of provided them a spark offensively and, did his job defensively as well. We really, in this game, it seemed like he was played more in an advanced role than, some of the games this year. And, he really tried to get forward. He played the pass to the assist for Schalke's third goal, and it was a nice kind of like 1-2 pass down the right flank and, really started off that move. So that was cool to see. He did later on in the game have a chance to score their fifth goal where, he was getting forward and a cross came into the box and he was basically running onto it, but was just a second late. And, so it would have been cool to see him score. But, Schalke took care of business on the day. They won the game 5-1 over Paderborn. So, we can't be too disappointed with that. And, hopefully we see Weston back on the pitch next week as a starter. I'm not too concerned. I think that, like I said before, it was just a matter of David Wagner kind of rotating his squad this weekend. And Weston is still a big part in his plans and a player that, he's going to have to rely on to be a focal point for them this year. So, I'm not too concerned that he was a substitute this week, and Schalke got the win. So their season's off to a lot better start than it was last year, and that's always good to see for one of our players. So now we want to move over to surprisingly the final player we'll discuss today. A little bit of a kind of a slow week, I would say, in USMNT news, but the final player would be Julian Green, who actually scored the game-winning penalty for Greuther Fürth in their 2-1 win over Wehen Wiesbaden in the 2 Bundesliga. And Julian Green was actually man of the match in this game. Really put together a good game. I tried to watch this game in full. I sped it up a little bit just to see kind of, how he's been playing. We've been hearing a lot about him to start this season. And he looked pretty good in this game. Some of his touches were a bit loose at times, but he's definitely kind of the focal point of what Greuther Fürth are really trying to do this year. And, he's shouldering the load pretty well. Like I said, at times some of his passes and touches were a little errant, like we've seen in the past with him. But, he is starting to get, I would say, a little bit more clinical in that final third. There was a few moments where he really looked comfortable taking on players and, got off a few shots in the box, which was something, that we've seen in the past from him. And, it definitely shows his confidence at the moment. But, it's been a good start to the season for Julian Green. So far, he has 3 goals in 6 games. And that's kind of the one thing that we've really wanted to see from Julian Green was more production. And it looks like this year he's providing that, at least for the start of the season. And, the other thing from him is we need to see more consistency. We need to see, like I said, some of those shots in the box. We need to see more, consistent goals from them, I guess. But we need to see more, we need to see just more creative play from him, I would say. Julian Green's role for Greuther Fürth is kind of that cam, and he's basically tasked with being the playmaker for them. And, that's a role that I think suits him very well. He's not a striker. I wouldn't say he's a winger just because he's not fast enough. So he kind of needs to be a central playmaker. And, if he can consistently produce from that position, then I think he could have a shot with our full national team. Obviously we've tried to give faith in him a lot in the past. Jurgen Klinsmann was obviously a big fan of him at one point in time, but it looks like he's never going to become that player that we all kind of wanted him to be, but he could become a somewhat useful player, especially if we play this Greg Berhalter system with the 210s. I think, if he can continue to play well this year, continue to become more consistent, then I think, it'd be interesting to see what he could provide in one of those roles. Like I said, he's got to continue to improve. He's 24 at the moment, so he's still young enough to improve. So that's, that's good. But we'll have to, see kind of what the season holds for Julian Green. I'm starting to get a little bit more optimistic about his career path. When he first burst onto the scene, I was very skeptical, and I'm still kind of skeptical of what his future holds. But I do think that, for Firth, he's looked like a player that has a future in the 2 Bundesliga, but also could grow into a player that has a Bundesliga future later on in his career. So I definitely don't think, I don't think the ship sailed on Julian Green just yet. I know some people probably have set the ship a sail, but he's definitely someone that I think we still need to monitor. And, hopefully one day he can kind of burst back onto the scene, and not because we don't have enough players to kind of push him out of the scene, I guess, but just because he raises his game to that next level. So, like I said, we'll keep an eye on Julian and report back to you with what the rest of his season holds. So now we will move over to Quick Kicks. And now it's Pat's favorite time of the show, and that's none other than Quick Kicks.
So you could test Dwayne Miller. It's Altidore over the wall, and that one is in! Josie Altidore from a long way out. The opening goal for the United States.
So to start off Quick Kicks today, we have Tyler Adams, and we just want to give a quick little update. Tyler's been out all summer with an adductor injury, but it looks like he's back in individual training at the moment for Leipzig. Still waiting to hear when he'll be back on the field in full capacity, but it seems like we're closely approaching his return to the team. So I would say probably another 2 to 3 weeks, and we'll hopefully see Tyler back on the pitch. Now moving over to Christian Pulisic. Unfortunately, Christian Pulisic did not play for Chelsea this weekend in their 5-2 win over Wolverhampton Wanderers, and we'll have to monitor that situation and see if that becomes a reoccurring theme, but let's hope not. Now, moving over to Denmark, we want to let you guys know that Emmanuel Sabbi scored the game-winning goal for Hobro in their 2-1 win over FC Copenhagen. So definitely a big win for Hobro, and really good to see. We also want to tell you guys too, real quick, that Christian Cappis started and played 81 minutes in that game. So Hobro definitely playing the Yanks recently, and we appreciate it. Now, heading over to PSV, we want to talk about Chris Gloster, who made his debut on Friday in that awesome game that Richy Ledezma had, coming on and playing the final 27 minutes for them. So that was good to see. And then he followed it up with his first start for Jong PSV in their 2-0 loss on Monday against Young Ajax. So, he played 90 minutes in that game. Like we said, we didn't really see any of that game just because there was no live stream. So, we've heard good things, though. His touches from the Friday game looked good, crisp. So it's good to see him back on the pitch, especially after the whole Hanover situation. So, yeah. And next we want to talk about Alex Mendez, who played the second half in Young Ajax's 3-2 loss on Friday, but then followed it up with a start for Young Ajax in that 2-0 win on Monday over Young PSV, and he played 69 minutes in that game. So, he was on the right side of things on Monday, and we're hoping we can see some footage of that game at some point. And the final player from Netherlands, while we're on the subject, was Josh Pynadath, and Josh Pynadath actually made his Young Ajax debut on Monday. So, when he came on, it was actually a cool little moment. It was basically 4 Americans on the pitch at the same time over in Europe. So that's, definitely a sign of things going in the right direction for us, I think. No shade at MLS, but yeah, that's really exciting to see. And I'm not sure when we could have said that. Obviously, it's a second team and a second tier league, but yeah, really cool experience. And next we want to talk about Andrija Novakovich, who made his Frosinone debut over the weekend, coming on in the second half of their unfortunate 1-0 loss. So yeah, good to see Andrija make his debut, and we hope we can see him scoring goals at the rate he did for Fortuna Sittard last year. And now moving back over to Denmark, we want to let you guys know that Jonathan Amon was finally back from injury, coming on for the final 13 minutes in Nordsjælland's 4-2 loss over the weekend to Brøndby. So definitely good to see Jonathan back. He's been sidelined for too long, and let's hope he can, gain some steam. Maybe we'll see him this fall for the USMNT. I would doubt we do, but yeah, he just needs to get back on the pitch and kind of get back on track for Nordsjælland. And now heading over to England, I want to tell you guys that Lynden Gooch had a goal in Sunderland's 3-1 win on Saturday. So good to see Gucci Bra back on the score sheet. And finally, our last player for today is Matt Olosunde. So Matt actually made the League One Team of the Week for his performance in Rotherham United's 6-1 win over Bolton. So yeah, it definitely looks like Matt's taking the life over in League One and Rotherham, and that's good to see. So let's hope more good things to come for Matt Olosunde. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below. And always make sure you check out our awesome Twitter and Instagram. We're posting great things on Instagram, trying to get back in the Twitter game a little bit. We've been a little silent recently. But yeah, definitely check out our Instagram. We've really taken to that recently, and we've had some really good posts. So definitely give us a check out on Instagram. And yeah, like I said, it wasn't the best weekend for young young Americans abroad, but there was some positives, and we're really excited to kind of see club play resume, especially after that international break. But we can't lose faith, because one day we will win that elusive World Cup.